everybody. I am here with these three lovely ladies today. I would like to introduce them before we get started. We're going to be talking about the Acting Collectively project, a very important project that's happening in the area. I'm pretty excited about it. I'm pretty excited for all the seniors. We're going to start by introducing the lovely lady below me. Her name is Grace Warner, and Grace is a professor in the School of Occupational Therapy at Dalhousie and the co-lead on the Acting Collectively project. And of course, down on the far bottom, on the left-hand side is, everybody knows, Michelle McPhee. Michelle McPhee is the Richmond County Senior Safety and Social Inclusion Coordinator.
Hi, Becky.
And to my right beside me is my friend Celeste Gotel. Everybody knows Celeste, and Celeste is the Acting Collectively Local Project Coordinator. So welcome, ladies.
Thanks, Becky.
And I'm excited to hear about this project. So let's start with you, Grace. What is the Acting Collectively Study project about?
Well, thanks for asking. Yeah, so the Acting Collectively project, it is a research project, and it's taking place in three Cape Breton communities, Richmond County, Victoria County, and Cape Breton Regional Municipality. And the idea is there's a set of interview questions that we're going to be asking older adults. I like to say, given that I am an older adult, is that adults over the age of 65 and in these different communities, and we're asking about their concerns and needs. And it's interview questions, and then we're going to be trying to match those concerns and needs with some of the resources in the local communities.
Who is involved in that?
So it is a collaborative project with the three communities. So the people here, like Celeste and Michelle, and then also the individuals in Victoria County and also in Cape Breton Regional Municipality. We also have funding from Nova Scotia Health and the Department of Seniors and Long-Term Care. So the idea is they're giving us some money, but we also have to give them some reports. So they're also involved in the project. And there's some more researchers at Dalhousie also.
Excellent. And how will the information be used?
It has twofold. One is to be able to provide the individual who's doing the interview with a list of, they're going to be asked some questions about their concerns, and at the end they're given a list of the concerns that they prioritize and what resources they might be able to go to in the local communities to address those needs. And so that's one level, and so that we're calling that kind of an action plan for them to have and to be able to act on. And then the next level is all the information that we gather is being put in an online database, not information like personal names or addresses or things like that. That information is not going in there, but about the answers to the questions and what resources were available. So the idea is to be able to share that information with the communities that are involved and also with the government to help with planning and program development to see kind of what's needed in these communities, what resources are not available, what concerns are a priority to individuals that have been interviewed.
Right. So now I do know that you mentioned where the project is happening, but if you could go over that a little bit more. I mean, is it going to be that these seniors will be interviewed in their homes, online, different ways?
Yes, I guess that's a good answer. Yes, they'll be interviewed in different ways. It will depend a little bit on how the communities have organized it, but the interviews can be done in person, by phone, or maybe through Zoom or something like that. So it'll be about the preferences of the individuals who are being interviewed and of the people, we're calling them assessors, the interviewers, kind of how they feel most comfortable doing the interview. So, but it'll be mostly trying to fit people with how they feel most comfortable.
Excellent. And now, Celeste, what is your role in this project?
Well, my role, as indicated, I'm kind of the local project coordinator. So for this project to take place was a considerable effort on the part of the number of people long before I got involved. And the municipality of Richmond, for example, applied for an age-friendly grant. And so they're a key partner in this work. And often, as the viewers would know, the municipality has gone to the Kingston Community Health Center on a number of occasions to support them in operationalizing some projects that were related to older adults. So in this particular instance, the Kingston Center is the actual kind of operationalizing this. And because I've worked with the Kingston Center over the years, they reached out to me to see whether I would take on the role of being the local project coordinator. But I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge the significant contribution of Dr. Dorothy Bernard, who has been very involved with this project since the beginning and was largely instrumental in making sure that it came to Richmond County. She's somebody that many people know and does a lot of work to support older adults. So my role kind of as the local project coordinator is to kind of connect all the dots, be the person who communicates from our research team at Dal to the people local in the ground, do some troubleshooting, help to recruit participants. You know, for example, I was very involved in recruiting the assessors, as Grace mentioned, like the people that are going to do the interviews. I made a point of reaching out to a number of people in the community who were known to people in the community who could actually do the interviews with the older adults. So that would be one function that I would take on, for example.
Right on. Well, how many participants are you hoping to recruit?
Well, overall, there's a desire to recruit about 500 participants for all of Cape Breton. And I think initially Richmond County has kind of committed to 120. We have a smaller population than CBRM, for instance, but you know, if we can recruit more, that would be great. So recruitment is actively underway. People are probably seeing lots of posters related to the Acting Collectively project. And in fact, a postcard went out to every Richmond County home. So some of you would have seen that postcard as well. And we're doing lots of other things to kind of spread the word.
Excellent. And if someone is interested in taking part, Celeste, and maybe they didn't get a postcard, you never know, how would they go about getting involved?
Well, a couple of different ways. First, as Grace mentioned, to get involved in this particular research project, it's for older adults 65 and over. So if you meet that particular criteria and you hear about the project and want to know more about it, there's different ways that you can find out. So for example, if you're watching the show today on Teleo and you're hearing about this project and you're like, oh, I'd like to know more about it, you may want to call Becky, and then Becky, of course, will refer you to the Kingston Center to get more information, or if you want to just register. So Jennifer Tanner is the local person at the Kingston Center that is going to be accepting participants and screening them and et cetera, and getting them registered. Or a lot of people know Michelle, so if they know how to get a hold of Michelle, they can make inquiries to her. And similarly, a lot of people know me as well, so I've received already a few inquiries through Seniors Take Action Facebook group and have directed people to Jennifer.
Excellent. Michelle, as an assessor, what is your role in the project?
So I get to be the interviewers. So we'll go through the Acting Collectively questions with those that choose to participate. But I'm also trying to promote the project as best I can as well. We really want to ensure that older adults across Richmond County have the opportunity to participate should they choose to. So doing a bit of community presentations and sharing things social media wise on bulletin boards, etc.
Excellent. And what kind of questions will be asked?
So there's quite a few. We're going to give a great overview of one's life, I guess. So there are 4 broad categories. You start with something related to your overall well-being, I guess would be the first category. So you might ask a question like, do you feel safe inside your home? And what are your living conditions like? Things like that. The second category is more related to independence. You might ask a question like, are you able to do stairs? Are you moving around your house in the way that you want to? And thirdly, the social engagement. I love those questions. Those are always of interest to me. Might be around, how are you engaging with technology, or what's your relationship with your community? Things like that. And then finally, your overall health. So physical health, your mental health, maybe even reflecting on whether you experience pain and what capacity. I might ask you a question like, do you exercise regularly? So they're pretty broad, covering a wide spectrum of your day-to-day life.
And how long do you expect these interviews will take?
It's going to really depend on the individual, but there's
Right.
56 questions, and generally speaking, it should be about an hour.
Right. Grace, are there any risks for me, for example, to get involved?
So yeah, not really, but it is interview questions. So they're interview questions. So if you feel uncomfortable at any time, anyone can say they just like to skip a question or prefer not to answer a question. So that's part of what we call as researchers, part of the risk is that maybe you might feel uncomfortable with the questions, but you can
Mhm.
always skip them. The
Yeah.
next thing people might want to wonder about is because information being confidential.
Right.
That they, share, and that will be kept. So what we're doing with the information, just to give you a little bit of background, is we're not putting anybody's names or addresses. So all this information on the answers goes into a database, but none of the information like someone's name or address goes into that database. So we're using that information in the database to kind of gather together and summarize information that can be shared with the other individuals on the projects, like the communities and also the government, to kind of have a summary of that. So I guess the risk as a researcher, sometimes we say, is will my information be kept confidential? And yes, it will. We've unfortunately gone through a lot of different processes, which make, the people involved in the project have been doing a lot of work to try to make sure everyone's personal information is kept in a secure place and not put alongside the answers. So those would be the risks to the project.
Right. Well, that's good to know. There's so many scams going on. You really have to worry about that stuff. But I know anybody who is involved with seniors and caregivers for seniors are very cognizant of that. So I appreciate you mentioning that. Michelle, what benefit is there for me in participating in this study or project?
So I think there's several benefits. I see it really as an opportunity for self-reflection. You think about your life, and there's so many different chapters in a life and so many changes within each stage, but we don't always have the opportunity to sit back and reflect, how is each stage impacting us positively or negatively. And I think the ACT assessment does a really great job of going through all these aspects, and you can highlight for yourself which areas might be of concern or which areas you'll note that you're doing really well in. But at the end of that process, based on what you've flagged for yourself as areas you'd like to learn more about, we can create this individualized action report that Grace spoke about at the beginning. And it's filled with local resource information that you can then use to possibly address some of those concerns that you've raised or you've highlighted for yourself.
On a personal note, I think, or I feel that there are a lot of seniors out there that would really appreciate being able to speak about these things and would appreciate the fact that they are being asked these questions. So that's quite commendable. Thank you guys for all of that. Celeste, what are the different ways people can participate?
Well, as Grace said earlier, that's going to depend on the assessors. And I did want to mention there are several people like Michelle throughout the community that have been recruited to do the interviews. And they're people that people in Richmond County will know. We've made a point of recruiting folks from almost every community. So we've got people from the St. Peter's, Lordways area. We also have people from Almadam. We have 3 recruiters who actually could do an interview en français. So if we have participants that would prefer to do their interview in French, we're able to do that. And many of the assessors are folks that are known in the community. A lot of them are retired nurses who have actually worked with seniors. And all of the assessors are people who care deeply about seniors in the area. Many of us are seniors ourselves. So that just is a little bit about the assessors. But as Grace mentioned earlier, depending on both the assessor as well as the participant, there are 3 main ways in which people can participate. So once they've determined an interest in getting involved with the project, they reach out, they get a bit more information, they call Jennifer. Jennifer goes through a screening criteria to make sure that they meet the criteria. And if they do, she'll register them to be a participant. During that kind of phase where she's asking questions, she'll be asking them would they prefer to do the interview on the telephone? Would they prefer to do it in person? Now, if they do prefer it in person, interviews will not be done in people's homes. We've made arrangements throughout Richmond County in local community halls, etc., for interviews to be done kind of in public places that have internet access. The actual interview itself, when it's taking place, the data entry is being done on a computer. So even if you're in an in-person conversation with Michelle, she would be there with her laptop, because everything's kind of done, we're living in 2022, everything's done online, etc. But we also acknowledge that there may be some internet connectivities in some of our rural communities. So we've made provisions for that as well, and we'll have some paper copies on hand. So it can be done virtually, like what we're doing, if people are comfortable with that platform, on the phone or in person, and in either language.
And just to kind of mention that if you ever need Tel-El's offices or boardroom or studio to do those things, you're more than welcome to use them.
Oh, that's great. Thank you for that.
Because
Yeah.
and just let me know, and
Yeah, we will
I'll
let
make
you
that
know.
happen.
Yeah, thanks.
You're very welcome. We do have a good internet connection here. You can actually probably plug right in, and we have bathroom facilities both for for physical, what do you call that?
Accessibility.
Wheelchair accessible. My gosh. Yeah.
Perfect. That's
Yeah,
good to
we
know,
do.
Becky, because we have
Yeah.
made arrangements for the municipal office in Ayrshire, but a second location would be great. So
Yeah, absolutely welcome to it.
thank you for that.
You're welcome. Grace, what happens at the end of this study?
Okay, well, I guess they're twofold. One, like I mentioned briefly before, is that we're going to take summary data without personal information and share it with the communities that are involved. And also because we have the Seniors for Long-Term Care and Nova Scotia Health, and giving them some summary information that maybe they can use for planning. And so that's the idea, is to be useful, to have useful information. We don't have in Nova Scotia, and I would also say across Canada, really good community level data for older adults. And so that's one of the things that we hope to look at. The second thing is that because it is a research project, the project is to evaluate. This is a pilot. So we are evaluating, how did this work? Were these good questions? Did people like their action reports? How much work did it take for the assessors to do the work? And so we really want to evaluate, how well this worked. And so the idea is that we're beholden to the communities and to the province of Nova Scotia and our health authority to report back and say, how did it work? And be open to the fact that, we're excited and we want it to work and we're good, but we also want to kind of give good information at the end. We're not intended to be kind of a swoop in research project. I mean, I think all of the people on our project are very much against that. So the idea is to share what we learn and then be very honest about that. And then and I must say, all our, people in the communities have been really great at giving us really good feedback and really informing what we're doing all along the way. So all along the way, we'll be asking, how are we doing? And so at the end of the day, we can use all that information to evaluate ourselves.
It's perfect. And I can honestly tell you that knowing the other two ladies on this panel, you have some very good people working with you. Excellent, actually.
We're very, very lucky.
You are very fortunate. Both of these ladies have really committed themselves over the years, and they're just superstars. So good on you. That's great. So anything else you want to say, Celeste?
No, thank you for that. That's very nice to hear. And we can say the same about you and the work that you're doing at Tilio for sure. And very grateful for anything you can do to help promote the project. The only other thing I did want to say is that this is going to be going on for several months. Right. So we have actively started recruiting, but we do know that, it may be several months before we actually meet that magic number. And we have, as I said, a number of assessors, many of whom are known to the community, that are going to be doing this over the next few months. So, they say that you have to kind of promote something over and over and over again. I think the magic number is people need to see things upwards to 30 times for it to connect. So you will be hearing a lot about this project, and we'll be asking Teleo to view this interview frequently. And there'll be a lot of stuff on social media and a lot of advertising and stuff that goes out because we really want this to be robust.
Mhm.
We want there to be a lot of participation, and we want the folks from Richmond County and others to benefit from this study.
Well, I personally am going to register, I must tell you.
No,
I'm-
you're not old enough, Becky.
What do you mean I'm not old enough?
You have to be 65 and over.
I'm letting my hair go gray for nothing.
Don't wish your time away.
Well, I know a lot of people that are 65 and
Yes.
over though. Most of my friends.
That's
So-
what we're counting on. And even healthy people should be registering. Like, I think there's a lot of older adults in Richmond County that will look at this and will dismiss it immediately because they'll think, oh, I'm not old. But it's not about being old. It's about
No.
being an older adult that meets that criteria. So all of you watching out there that are, vibrant 65-year-olds, don't not get involved because you don't think of yourself as having needs. This isn't only about needs.
I think in this climate, everybody realizes lately that they have needs. That's for sure. Anyway, thank you all. I appreciate you you coming online and talking to me. However, now anything that you need from here on in, please just don't hesitate to ask. And if I can help you, I certainly will.
Thank you very much. And
You're
thanks, Denise,
welcome.
for
Have a great-
joining us. And
Yeah, have a
Yeah.
great day.
Thank you,
Okay.
Becky.
wonderful.
Bye.